In the quiet town of Westminster, Massachusetts, a treehouse stood as a seemingly innocent reminder of childhood memories. But in 2018, this simple wooden structure would become the scene of a horrifying crime that shocked the entire community. What started as a missing person case would soon unravel into a dark tale of obsession, betrayal, and murder that would forever change the lives of everyone involved. Julia Enright grew up on a 30-acre farm in Massachusetts, where life was simple but demanding. As a young girl, she spent her days tending the cows and chickens, learning the harsh realities of farm life. Her family wasn't wealthy, but they were hard-working people with no history of trouble with the law. No one could have predicted that this seemingly ordinary farm girl would become the center of one of the most chilling murder cases in recent Massachusetts history. During her high school years at a vocational school, Julia met Brandon Chiklis. Both feeling like outsiders, they found comfort in each other's company. Their friendship blossomed into romance, and they spent countless hours together in a treehouse near Julia's home. Even after their relationship ended, they remained friends, occasionally meeting in that same treehouse, a place that would later become the setting for an unthinkable crime. On June 23, 2018, 20-year-old Brandon Chiklis told his mother he was going to visit his father in Rindge, New Hampshire. He got into his gray Honda and drove away. It would be the last time his mother would see him alive. When Brandon didn't return home, his family immediately knew something was wrong. Brandon was known for being reliable and responsible. His sudden disappearance was completely out of character. The next day, his worried mother contacted the police, but initial searches yielded no results. The mystery deepened when investigators discovered Brandon never reached his father's house. None of the surveillance cameras along the route to Rindge had captured his car. It was as if Brandon had vanished into thin air. A week later, on June 29, Brandon's car was found abandoned in a supermarket parking lot in Rindge. The vehicle was unlocked with the keys inside, and someone had meticulously wiped away all fingerprints. It was clear that Brandon hadn't simply disappeared, something sinister had occurred. On July 10, 17 days after Brandon Chiklis' disappearance, a woman on her morning jog spotted a black garbage bag wrapped in duct tape about 2 miles from where his car had been left. It emitted a foul odor. Inside the bag was Brandon's body, wrapped in a blanket. According to the medical examiner's report, he had died about 2 weeks earlier, shortly after his disappearance. The young man had suffered 13 stab wounds. Near Brandon's body, police found his mobile phone. It was severely damaged, as if someone had deliberately smashed it. Fortunately, the police were able to recover information from the device. Detectives discovered that on the morning of June 23, Brandon had received a voice message from his ex-girlfriend, 21-year-old Julia Enright. "Come to our place," she said. "I have important news for you. Please don't tell anyone about our meeting." Cell phone data showed that Brandon had been in the vicinity of Julia's house from 11:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. on the day he vanished. As investigators dug deeper into Julia's life, they discovered a young woman with disturbing obsessions. By day she worked as a phlebotomist, drawing blood for medical tests. But beneath this professional exterior lay a dark world of macabre interests and twisted desires. Julia had created an online persona as Mistress Jasmine, offering dominatrix services to clients who shared her interest in BDSM and blood play. When police searched Julia's home, they found a horrifying collection in her basement: vials of blood from various sources, decomposing animal carcasses, jars filled with organs, and a large collection of knives. She had developed an intense fascination with death and decay, often collecting roadkill to study their decomposition process. One friend later testified that Julia would wrap dead animals in plastic to accelerate their decomposition. But perhaps most disturbing was what investigators found just 8 days before the murder. Julia had visited a medical center to terminate a pregnancy, and she had made an unusual request. She wanted to keep the fetal remains to study the bones. Though this had nothing to do with Brandon, it painted a picture of a deeply troubled young woman with an unhealthy obsession with death. The investigation led police to the treehouse near Julia's home. Though it appeared recently cleaned, investigators found small red spots on the wall, spots that would later be confirmed as Brandon's blood. Under new carpet, they discovered evidence of a massive bloodstain that had been thoroughly cleaned. A neighbor confirmed that she had removed all carpeting from the treehouse in April 2018, meaning the new carpet had been installed after Brandon's disappearance. The most damning evidence came from Julia's own writings. In her personal diary, she detailed the events of June 23, 2018. What emerged was a story more twisted than anyone could have imagined. Julia had lured Brandon to the treehouse not for reconciliation, but as a gift for her new boyfriend, Jonathan Lind. According to her diary entries, early on the morning of the murder, she had texted Jonathan asking if he'd like to take a bloody bubble bath. Later that day, after Brandon arrived at the treehouse, she stabbed him 13 times. When Jonathan arrived and saw what she had done, they worked together to conceal the crime. They wrapped Brandon's body in a blanket, stuffed it into a trash bag, and sealed it with duct tape. The couple then placed Brandon's body in the back seat of Julia's Toyota Prius and drove to the Massachusetts-New Hampshire border, where they dumped it on the roadside. Jonathan drove Brandon's car to a location 3 miles away, carefully wiping away all evidence before abandoning it with the keys inside. Back at the treehouse, they methodically cleaned the crime scene, with Julia washing her bloody clothes and Jonathan helping to install new carpet to hide the evidence. In a calculated move to establish an alibi, Julia sent text messages to Brandon's phone after his death. At 8 p.m. that night, she wrote, "Why didn't you come to meet me?" She continued the charade for several days, pretending to be concerned about his whereabouts. Meanwhile, she and Jonathan celebrated their successful evening by ordering sushi and having dinner together. The investigation revealed even more disturbing aspects of Julia's personality. In her diary, she had written about being fascinated by death and having an insatiable curiosity about what it would be like to kill someone. She even wrote about wanting to save the planet from overpopulation. Entries dating back to 2016 expressed her desire to kill someone and hide in the woods. When the case went to trial, Julia changed her story dramatically. She claimed Brandon had attacked her, forcing her to defend herself. Her defense team argued that her interest in medicine had led her to study animal remains purely for educational purposes, and that her diary entries were merely dark fantasy inspired by her obsession with rock star Marilyn Manson and the occult. But the jury wasn't convinced. The detailed planning, the cover-up, and her own written words painted a clear picture of premeditation. In November 2021, Julia Enright was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 25 years. Jonathan Lind's case took a different turn. In a separate trial, he was found guilty of accessory after the fact to murder, misleading investigators, and improper disposal of a body. The court determined that while he hadn't participated in the actual murder, his extensive involvement in the cover-up warranted significant punishment. He was sentenced to 10 years in state prison, with 5 years of probation to follow upon release. During his sentencing hearing, Jonathan expressed remorse for his role but maintained he never knew about Julia's plans beforehand. However, prosecutors argued that his quick adaptation to helping conceal the crime suggested a predisposition to such behavior. The judge noted that his failure to report the crime and his active participation in concealing it had significantly impeded the investigation and prolonged the Chiklis family's suffering. At Julia's sentencing, she finally said, "Not a day goes by that I don't think about this and wish I could take it all back. I want you to know that every night I pray not just for my family, but for all of you. I apologize to everyone, his parents, his siblings, his loved ones, my parents, and friends. Today, the treehouse that once represented childhood innocence stands as a dark reminder of how human nature can take unexpected and horrifying turns." The case of Julia Enright shows how beneath a seemingly normal exterior can lie disturbing obsessions that, when unleashed, lead to unthinkable tragedy. Brandon Chiklis' family continues to grapple with their loss, haunted by the brutal nature of his death and the betrayal by someone he once trusted. His story serves as a chilling reminder that sometimes the most dangerous predators aren't strangers in the shadows, but the people we think we know. If you enjoyed this video, please support my channel by subscribing, and likes are also appreciated.